Hello again. Another quick book review, The New 1 Minute Manager, Ken Blanchard and Spencer Johnson. I've been reading a lot of Spencer Johnson stuff lately. Very good book about, basically strictly about managing other people. So as usual, I'll kind of read a few things and the good ideas that I think are in the book that you can use in several different situations. But if you're in a position of leadership, this is a very effective way to communicate, organize, give feedback to the people that you're working with, which obviously the bigger your organization, the more effective and efficient you need to be with those communications. So this book is perfect for that type of scenario where you've got multiple people or multiple systems at play, and you need to effectively communicate to all of them in an efficient manner. So once again, it's in like story form. Basically, this young man is kind of interviewing the main 1 minute manager, as they refer to him, and then he goes and interviews the people who he manages, and they all kind of give him a piece of the story of how he manages. But the first idea that kind of cracked me up in this book, he says, if you can't tell me what you'd like to be happening, you don't have a problem yet. You're just complaining. A problem only exists if there's a difference between what is actually happening and what you desire to be happening. I spoke of this in a different video, but I just love it. Like, you need to clearly know what needs to be happening or what you would like to be happening, and the difference between where you're currently at, what needs to be happening, in order to have a problem. And then once you've got a problem, you can create a solution to solve the problem. But if you don't have a clear expectation, you're just complaining about the way things are, which is the lazy way of approaching life. There's always going to be things that are uncomfortable or seem a little off or whatever, but if you don't know a better way, you're just complaining about it. If you're whining about it. He says, help people reach their full potential. Catch them doing something right. So I'm going to jump all the way to the back of the book, and he basically, this book essentially covers three major sections. First of all, it's 1 minute goals. So this 1 minute manager has all of his people set 1 minute goals that they can clearly go back to over and over to make sure that their actions and their goals are in line with each other. And you can quickly review those with them, and you can, redirect if need be or whatever. So from those goals, you've got two things below it that basically say when a goal is achieved or you're in action towards the goal, or the opposite, when you've taken a wrong action, right? So on a win, you would praise, you want to catch them doing something right. Now, a lot of managers don't do this very well because it kind of takes time out of the day to try and build someone up when, the hope is, well, they're self-sufficient or whatever. But everybody's in a different place. So especially your new employees or those people who are not quite as good at or as comfortable with the roles they have, or maybe they don't yet know the roles they're supposed to be playing. So I know I've done it several times where I was hired to a job. They introduced me to the facility, to a few of the coworkers, and give me a quick 1 or 2 day training, and good luck. You're in charge of these 30 patients, and adios. Like, or anyway, I could go on and on. I have multiple jobs that I could talk about. I have others that did a really good job, though, of training me and sort of praising me on the small things until I got to a point where obviously you're not going to praise me on the fluff anymore. It's going to be more achievement based, right? And so that's what he talks about. Like, you want to catch them doing something good. I'm going to get to more of that in a little bit and talk more about how he goes about that. But the other side, the lose, if there's goal is not achieved or an action that's not aligned with our goals. He says you confirm what happened, you address the issue, tell them how you feel about it, give them a second to think about that, and then reaffirm, like, I trust you, you're a good person, you've got this, basically reaffirm like trust and confidence in them and their abilities. So basically all it was is, somehow we got off track here, here's what happened, that's not going to help us out, like, bummer that we're in this situation, here's where we need to be going, and I trust that you can do it. So that's the three main principles in the book, and he lays them out in very quality ways. But a quote that he lives by, the 1 Minute Manager, he says, the best minute I spend is the one I invest in people. And how many other book reviews have I done where it's all about like helping someone else, serving someone else, help someone achieve their goals. If you've got something to offer it, give it to somebody. Like, it not only helps you, but it helps them. And then, looking for win-wins all around. And so just like when I sit here and talk to my camera about a book, it reinforces the things I've read and learned better than if I just read the book, closed it, and never went back. So anytime you can teach something, you're going to retain it much better. And then, of course, other people get the fruits of your experiences, and they can learn from that. He talks about one of the biggest, he says, it's all because the number one motivator of people is feedback on results. They want to know how they're doing. Feedback is the breakfast of champions, is the saying they have. So he's obviously speaking about the two, either catching them doing something right and praising them, or redirecting them. And we all love to have feedback. It's just how that feedback comes in that can change the playing field a bit. But if you can give feedback, positive or negative, in a good way, people appreciate that, and they'll, especially people who are really driven to accomplish, good things and succeed in their role. They want to know, like, am I on track? He along with this, he told the story of one of his ex co-workers, or from a different company, and there were several of them at the bowling alley, and they were known as like kind of the disruptive, like not very good employees. And he sees them there, and a second later, one of them's jumping around, hooting and hollering. He goes, why do you think he was acting like that? And he said, well, he probably got a strike. He's like, exactly. Like, why don't these people act like that at work? Well, most of them don't know what they're shooting for. They weren't trained well. They weren't redirected when they were on the wrong path until it was kind of too late. And then they got a monthly or a quarterly review, and it was negative. They didn't get their bonus or whatever. Like, you got to give those clear goals, which is why the 1 minute goals are always reviewed. So very interesting. Feedback is the number one motivator. And if you'll go back to like Influencer, which is one of my favorite books for managing people, there's all these intrinsic motivators, and there's external motivators, intrinsic motivators, things that you need to tap into in order to help with people. And this is a very like simple version of some of those. So it's a cool book. These examples illustrate that the most important and natural thing to do to help people become winners is to catch them doing something approximately right in the beginning. Then you move on toward the desired results. I kind of touched on this earlier. Basically, like with your new employees, you can't just start with discipline, right? Like, they don't know their role yet. They don't know where they stand. They don't know what your goals for them are. They don't know like how the company functions completely, right? They might have done that role in a different company, but they don't know this company. So in the beginning, you're really going to praise small things. And he talks about, just like with a child, right? When they're learning to walk, you stand them up, and then they stand for literally a split second and fall, and you shower them in love and kisses and say, you stood up and whatever, right? And after a while, they start thinking, man, like I'm I'm on the right track. Like when I go, like, when I stand for an instant, I get praised. If you were to just like punish them for not standing, they wouldn't even know what you're talking about, or why that's there. So you need to sort of use that model of praising early, praising often for things that are, as he says, approximately right. And then you're going to redirect and redirect and redirect and praise and redirect and praise and redirect. And eventually you guys get on the same page, and you won't have to praise them for small things. And it will become more and more goal oriented. Are we achieving our goals? Are we reaching the marks that we set for ourselves? Anyway, recently I had an employee that had to miss a day of work. And I think it was an illness in her family. She had to miss a day of work. And a lot of employers would be really down on that, right? Because it causes a bunch of I guess, drama, some struggle, some issues to work out now because we're down an employee or something. Especially in the medical field. I mean, we're literally taking care of, dozens of people. So if someone can't show up to work, it can be a big deal. And a lot of employers would be really down on that. But what I choose to believe is that, first of all, she's a great employee, and so I don't question her need for a day off, because she rarely takes it and she works hard when she's there. So it makes it easy for me to, see the bright side. But she took a day off. So instead of giving her a negative mark and saying, "Oh, you're not going to get your quarterly bonus," or whatever, right? I down the road gave her a bonus for a couple reasons. First of all, to say thank you for all your hard work. It's not attached to that day off that she missed, but I see that as she's probably got a little bit more of a hardship now because she missed a day of work. She didn't get the money for that day, yada, yada, yada. So I can show her appreciation in a time of need by giving her a bonus for multiple reasons. And in my company, I never give incentives attached to specific tasks or jobs. It's always intermittent and unexpected, and it's just a general thank you for being awesome. Even though I might have things in my head that are saying, "Man, I'm gonna give her a bonus for that." It comes unattached to it. So you try to encourage people to continue their hard work, reward them for things that they've done well, compensate them for things that maybe they missed out on, but you kind of always have to keep it in an interesting light. I'll just leave it at that, but that's kind of how we run our company, and you treat your employees well and they treat you well in general, right? Moving on, he says, this is a funny story. He says, this is about the punishments. So he had some friends, they got a new dog or whatever. He said, they told me they had a new pet and asked what I thought of their great idea for house training the dog. And then they said, if the dog had an accident on the rug, they were going to take the dog, shove his nose in it, pound him on the butt with a newspaper, and throw the dog out the open kitchen window into the backyard where the dog was supposed to do his job. The manager laughed. Then he asked me what I thought would happen with this method. I laughed because I knew what would happen, and it did. After about 3 days, the dog pooped on the floor and jumped out the window. The dog didn't know what to do, but he knew he had better clear the area. Punishment doesn't work when you use it with someone who's learning. Rather than punishing inexperienced people who are still learning, we need to redirect them. I thought that was brilliant. It's good insight, and it's a funny story. Tell them what they did wrong. Tell them you still have, what they need to do, and then express your confidence in them to accomplish it. Anyway, interesting book, very easy read, full of knowledge, just like all of Spencer Johnson's books. I love him. Love all of his books. I think my favorite so far is Peaks and Valleys, but they're all very valuable and packed with good business knowledge. So anyway, I'll put a link in the notes so you can purchase from Amazon, and then I'll get a small commission, and subscribe to the channel for more book reviews. and head over to bronsonwilks.com and go to Best Self-Help Books to find more. Adios. Thanks for watching.